Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa. And we're really happy to be back with you on our new channel. Having a few little techno issues at the moment, but I'm sure we'll sort them out in not too long at all. So, welcome again, our lovely Tuesday evening or morning for you guest. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Stellar. We're doing well. So using it from your perspective where you are, with a beautiful night sky, stellar.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. So we were chatting a little bit off air about breakthroughs that are currently happening, and just we say it so often lately that these are just really crazy times. I mean, anyone who doesn't feel what's going on, just energetically at the moment, I don't know. Is not there's so much going on in everyone's life, and just the energies are crazy and things are just happening. And I think from where we're sitting as well, a lot of there seem to be a lot of acts of desperation maybe coming from the other side. Um, a lot of fear emerging all over the place right now. Um, Looking at the war again, and the next minute this whole fiasco with the hair and the punching on stage and what have you. It just seems to be one thing after the other, but from where I'm sitting, it seems so obvious to me what's going on. So maybe just from your side, Tom, what would you say is happening in the world right now with
Well, I
all of
think
this stuff going on?
I would use the analogy or the image of turning the key. We're turning the key. And like I said, it's like the painting behind me that was done by this beautiful young lady, married couple that sent that to me. The key is happening, the wave is forming, and we have the answer. And if only three people saw this show, it would cause the other side to be completely upset, the shallow state to be very upset. If 10 people see your show, what we're talking about right now, it would cause the other side to get even more upset. They're reacting. It's like a hornet's nest trying to protect its hive while trying to sting and swarming. They're losing it. And we're seeing their main players, like my bot family, getting very silent right now, very silent all of a sudden. And they're very arrogant and very brutal. Suddenly become silent, they're told to be silent. And what's happening is the main players are trying to take the reins, and they're doing stopgap, like pressure release methods of, we're releasing some information so that we can, this is going to make us not look so good in the public, but we're going to try to release steam off of these things so we don't get caught so badly. But we're finding things out now, how everything's connected and what they're most concerned about. One of their strategies, I'm talking globally, one of their strategies is to profile people who are in high position like yourselves, which you are in high positions in this, very much on the focus of the top involved in this, suckers. And so what they're doing, it says your internet connection is unstable right now. So yeah, so that just showed up on the screen. So we're hitting the pulse. This says we're hitting the pulse. Your site being struck, things like this, means that they are allowing to say, you guys are very, very important. Us being on together every Tuesday is driving them nuts, because even if 10 people hear this, or 3 people, it's too much for them. Because right now we have that key, and intellectual property has been the key all along. That's what the Zionist Manifesto is most afraid of. Intellectual property, those authors or author getting credit for their work, means that they will influence a world with their work that changed a world. So that's why they're trying to keep it very, very quiet, what we're talking about. Very quiet. Because it can create a ripple, which can create a wave if people catch on, and you got a smart audience. Your audience is the same, I think, with Right On Radio and things like that. And that's a smart duo right there, Jesse and Jeff. So what's happening is we've got this information coming out where it's not supposed to come out. What can they do? Offer rewards to people to turn tail within the companies. They can try to disrupt. We're seeing that all the time, aren't we? It just said connection becoming unstable. These guys own everything from securities to internet to phones to news to name it. These film companies own everything. And they're given guidance and sanction support by government agencies that want to see a one world society where they're at the top. And they have a little fantasy going along with that too. They'll get the best of the best, as Pat Robertson says, no longer a second-class citizen. It's a wet dream for them. So basically what we have now is, what's their biggest hiccup? What's their biggest concern? They'll focus all their energy on that first. Intellectual property that can reestablish everything and get people to see truth, hope, reestablishment of an order that actually is what should be through earned means, not rewards, like these siblings that I have that are rewarded empty rewards that are just given to them. President of psych people, top psych person, floor of Congress. They're getting this. This is a family of not really brilliant people getting all these rewards while the FBI and police work with them. And they brag about having Secret Service going to do dirty work for them. Yeah. So we made some amazing discoveries. We'll get into in a moment. I'll send it back to you. But right now, Russia, that whole thing is agreed on between the major powers. What's going to happen? It's a sideshow. Diplomats being expelled. All these things is agreed on ahead of time, believe it or not, in a scenario to distract and say nothing to see but here. And you're basically unpatriotic if you're not looking here at our show, our three-ring circus. If you pay attention to Chantelle, Morné, Tom, you're not doing your civic duty. You're not doing your world humanitarian duty. Oh, yes, you are, because you're seeing what they're trying to distract you from. Those like us. So we have the key. The circus is going to get bigger and more bloated, and they're going to flood it with ponies and elephants because they don't want what they're actually disrupting to be heard. So it's breaking. It's breaking down for them. They're panicking. The hornet's nest is buzzing. And when they call back their middle players into silence, that means they're saying, time out. There's too much going on against us. You guys stay silent until mama and papa fix it. And that's what they're doing. The mama and papas of the shallow state are trying to get everything back in order. And by us talking right now and this being broadcast and your brilliance and courage to go and send another channel and go for it, that tenacity is how the game is won. The truth coming out is how that game is won. And boy, do we have the key and the confidence that we have exactly what's needed in this whole scenario, where people actually get to listen to what will refresh them, give them hope, and let us lead again, those of us that actually have the merits and the ability, not based on loyalty to the shallow state, but based on the abilities and talents we have that we've applied with courage to get the job done for a better world, and that children can be freed and elderly are no longer sent away on this scare tactic and eliminated so that assets could be absorbed and less people on the planet. So back to you guys.
Yeah, I think it truly is, it's an amazing time. And I think there's a lot of movement happening now, Tom. I mean, I don't know if you just also see it from where you're at, just people generally. And I always say it's a challenging time, and it is. But I think people generally are waking up. People generally are seeing things. I think more and more realizing this whole big war that we're in right now, it's a diversion. It's a diversion for things to happen, to distract us from what's really going on. Just over here, last night they ended the state of emergency at 12 o'clock. But in the meantime, they've snuck in some horrendous laws into this country, basically telling us that we can be dragged off. If anyone suspects us of having anything, we can be dragged off to a government facility and treated in exactly the way they see fit to treat us. It's crazy. So there's definitely a lot of deception going on as well. And I say, we've got to be in such a space of being able to discern what is feeling right and what isn't, because that's really what this time is about. you know. Um, the shadow side is not going to crumble by us fighting with them, you know, in combative style or combative style. You know, it really is coming from a place of understanding and being able to uplift ourselves. And for me, that's where we get our breakthroughs, because then we are able to see things from a different angle. And then that to me is what creates the changes. These guys can't hold on to this stuff forever. You know, these are signs of desperation that they're doing what they're doing. They can't hold on to your intellectual property forever and whoever else's they've stolen and all of this amazing stuff that the Vatican has kept secret for all these years, you know, not for our good, but certainly for their good, you know, because they've wanted to keep humanity, in my opinion, really dumbed down.
Right.
So it really is an amazing time of uprising, and I'm enjoying it, I must say, even though it's challenging for a lot of people, very much so. But
Yeah.
I think it's a very incredible time, the
It
time
is.
of uprising.
It really is. And you know, you said some things that really stood out. The screenplay that I have, the intellectual property they were so drunk on that they gave it to so many companies, talks about using religion to distract the people, and also talks about false flags to distract the people, creating scenarios and things to create fear. In fact, the one main character says, I need this hospital bomb, basically. I need them afraid so I can get these numbers up and get these, you know, get this going. I need this happening now. They want their false flags. That's before 9/11. So what we've got is this thing where everything's in there. They must have been just tweaked off the charts when they saw this. When Bonaventure saw this, he wasn't just saying, this is revolutionary, we're making it, Tom. I think some of the inner monologue in his head was, oh God, he nailed it all. How'd he know? I kept getting that question, how'd he know? So that's why the Wachowskis even put in the first graphic 9/11, September 11, along with my high school and all that stuff we talked about. And then, of course, the birthday on the clock. Exactly. That's very important to show. They don't want this shown. They're trying to negate all that. So what's interesting is when it comes down to it, who are their main tactical elements they use and employ for what's going on in the world to screw it up? Analysts. They use civilian analysts. That's what they do. So that's one of the main culprits in this whole thing. Next is their attorneys. So analysts that are civilians and attorneys are what's really screwing up our world, and they get well rewarded for it, for doing wrong, blocking due process rather than guaranteeing due process. If you have evidence, you're a bigger threat. It's not about bringing that evidence to light that's going to change the day. It's not like the films where you're racing down with that tape for the radio station or the network and you're going to put that tape on and the world has changed because the tape's playing. It's not going to work that way. It's not, if you don't get intercepted and killed in the process of bringing that tape in, it'll be negated. It'll be someone will say, let me see that tape, and you'll never see it again. You'll have attorneys tell them, we're working for you. We're going to make this happen. They'll put it into what they call their vault, Barry Jenkins in Virginia Beach. And they allow their partner to be hired. That stuff is gone from their vaults. This is how they do it. Evidence is destroyed through attorneys now, through a legal process, which is no longer giving due process. It is going against due process. It's serving the big business, and they brag about it in the process. So having evidence doesn't give you the fact that it's going to change, like you said. Fighting them is not really going to change it, like you said. We need to have the analysts too. We're smarter. They recruit dumb people because they want loyalty. And they come up with dumb scenarios that don't factor all the dynamics of humanity. We can be analysts, those of us that create creative content. Isn't it interesting that they put the creative content under the names of investment firms, as if investment firms created that creative content to create slots at the Copyright Office to stick stolen work into? So they don't have creative fields of people. In fact, the one guy that did Elysium, he said that writing for him was like pulling teeth, the Wachowskis, when it came to Sense8. They said that it's too big to write down because they're too lazy to write down. They don't like writing. They just want the rewards. Where our side, that's actually the really good side, are willing to do the work as a service to humanity, as a service to the children, as a service to create stimulating work to lift humanity. And that's the key there too, because the other side, the elite or shallow states leaders, want to be stimulated. They want to be entertained. They want that and look at their award system where Will Smith just decked out, rock. So what happens is you've got the system where they don't have the talent, they rehash everything, and they try to argue that everything's been done in the sun, while we are coming up with things all over the place, saying to them, you won't have these if you hurt our loved ones. And they fuss and fume about that. Really, these movie moguls are nothing if they don't have the writers worth their salt, but the writers worth their salt they're stealing from and trying to bring in D player writers to fill the void. It's not going to work. An imbecile could see that. So right now, things are happening where evidence is coming our way to see how far they've gone in their greed, where now we're worth billions. Just my family alone, what's left of it, this tattered family of just me and Aiden. What we're worth now is off the charts on a worldly plane. We've all been worth so much more on a spiritual plane, on the universal plane.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should never forget that, Our spirits have come here to play in this world and learn and explore and go through all sorts of amazing changes. And at the end of the day, these are the things, these are the challenges, these are the human beings that actually enable us to grow. That's the way I see it. When we can actually realize what all of these challenges have been about in our lives, it makes us, it's the very thing that enables us to expand and grow and become enlightened beings. If I'm just trying to think of the word, but yeah, I suppose enlightened beings would be the most appropriate word to use. It's
Right.
through this.
If you're super, super intelligent, like your audience, like we are, I mean, we've tested gifted geniuses. So what goes on? What do children do when they're playing initial games growing up? They need bad guys. They need bad guys in order to make their, scenarios exciting and stimulate their mind and get, resolved together and save the day. A lot of children's games are based on that kind of philosophy and style and framework.
True.
You get stimulated that way and things like that. So what's interesting is these guys are doing us a service when it comes down to us, and fortunately, they're really, really stupid. I mean, they're really, really dumb. And that's what I was going to talk about a little later on here, is just how dumb they are. Their greed drives them that way. They brag all the time, and they're not going to be able to stop it. They can't stop bragging. My sister, my brother sold to Disney and Spielberg. They can't stop bragging. They can't stop doing it. They can't stop screaming, yelling, raging if they don't get their way. It's like children that never really got to play the right way. They never really developed their minds. They stayed shallow. As soon as people focus on their own image and the importance of themselves, then they've taken themselves out of the evolving game. They've taken themselves out of the way of bettering themselves and stimulating and developing and transforming. They're gone. They've put themselves into a rock solid little cell where it's all about their image, their image, their image, their image. And everywhere they look, every wall they look at, oh, my image, my image, my image, And that leads my sister, even just to microcosm this down, to scream at me, everybody loves me. Nobody hates me. No children are afraid of me. Everybody loves me. You should hear it, a manic rage, a bipolar rage. Why is she screaming? That's delusional. It's a delusional concept and paranoia mixed in to say that everybody loves you. So that shows who her bosses are, their mentality of, she even said, all about power. All about power. If you believe it's all about power and you're focused on your own image, then you are not, you're going to collapse. You're going to end up either a puddle on the floor, curled in a fetal position on the office, screaming and raging, which my sister did at her school. She's an example of all these things. Or attacking people needlessly, claiming victim when you're harming people and using ways to try to destroy their families and rip them apart, using your power to do that. That's what it ends up doing. And then she has the audacity to say she wants to matter. Well, you don't matter. You don't matter. The people that matter are the ones that work together for a better world, not their image, not for spray-on tans like she does, not for a remodeled kitchen as a reward, not for even the floor of Congress to be mentioned when she's an unlicensed elementary school counselor. So what you have is, in the broader scheme, those of us that actually want to serve humanity and serve all life by contributing things to make it more interesting, it's like the kids back to their games. We want to make a cool game where we all benefit from and come closer together over. And you're right. We do need the bad guys to do it. We must be fulfilling a function.
Yeah, and I think it really is about, with the kids, really, what you're talking about with the kids there. I mean, it begins there. And, it begins really, I mean, and we've spoken about this so often, with the family. And this whole lockup time for me has been a really important time for everyone across the world, because it's really been this lockup time that has opened so many people's eyes to what's been going on literally underneath our feet. So as we awaken, more and more people, I think, start understanding also which direction to take, how to deal with things, because we can't ignore what has been going on. We've been hero worshipping too many people for too many years, especially in the entertainment industry. So it's really about everyone coming to terms with the fact that there are no heroes. Actually, you are your own hero. And that's really what we've got to be looking at here. And that's the understanding and the inner standing with which I think our children need to be raised.
You're absolutely right. I think that, go ahead, Morné.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, and there's no such thing as a bad guy, only a child that hasn't been loved, So every bad guy is just another child that didn't get the right teachings from the beginning. So
it's playing a role. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this whole duality we've played on this earth for so long, I think it's kind of wearing out right now. And I think mankind is getting to a place where, okay, let's get over this good guy, bad guy. Yes, there's going to be opposites, but not in the sense of like extreme.
It's more like mirror now, mirror on the wall.
Yeah, it's like
in front of me.
I want to play at night and you want to play at day, but we're not going to sacrifice kids anymore, But
you're right. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, but isn't like you said earlier about the it's like with the bad guys now, the adults are doing damage control. Aren't the adults actually, most of them taken out, and it's the kids trying to do damage control right now? Isn't like most of the big players? Well, who knows? I just thought maybe most of the big players are out of the picture right now, and it's like the kids running around trying to do damage control.
Well, that's what it was before, was the kids were trying to, like, that's why in my situation, the family that's bought so heavily, I mean, enormously heavily. When you get to a certain point of what they value at monetarily and things like this, they come at you with family in a really incredibly hard way. That's why I was dragged off so many times, and they didn't solve that. But now they've gotten quiet because the main players are back on the field again. The main players wanted the shallow ones to do it, so that they can be shielded from it and have plausible deniability for or responsibility tagged to them for these crimes. So that's why they buy family and things to do that. But when the family is pushed aside, when middle players are pushed aside and they say, okay, let us do it, that means they haven't come through, which is a dangerous situation for these certain family members that are bought so heavily. They're well rewarded. You're expected to fulfill your function. And if you don't succeed, then it does not go unnoticed. And there can be penalties involved for not coming through and destroying the targets. And that's how they work. It's unbelievable. It's just like they think of it as a game mentality, art of war, that kind of thing.
It's like these video games. There's very realistic ones. Really it is. Yeah.
They play all out.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is these guys at the top, they haven't been hauled off and eliminated. No, they're not going to they're not going to disappear from behind the curtain. They're going to stay behind the curtain playing that organ and doing the fire effects. And that's what Russia is, like Wizard of Oz. Fire effects. I am the great power Wizard of Oz. Come forward. So it's like that kind of thing. They're trying to get us with this big scenario now. And that may or may not have been time for this time. They may have done it earlier, like, let's loose this one now. Release the dogs of war, Shakespeare. Because right now we need it. They're panicking. So this Russia thing may have been launched now because they need something to come out of the closet and fire up right now, because they're in a panic mode. They need something for a timeout to get reorganized because they are falling apart. And and I can go over some of the things of why they are falling apart. So yeah.
Excellent.
All right. I mean,
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. I mean, from when this whole Russian nonsense started, it just. And I'm not saying there aren't casualties. I'm not saying that what's going on there might, is not real. I'm saying no people need to be experiencing that, especially not because of old men sitting at the top wanting to make money. You know, really, it's just crazy.
they have a whole agenda which is now going to come into play. But right now they're trying to do damage control, and they don't care about the civilians being killed. That's just an example of what's going to happen in the U.S. and Germany and Africa. What they're going to do is they're going to start killing off what they consider the lower echelon fat, the ones that they consider the mob, the ones they don't consider outside their, what they call themselves the elite, as we said. These shallow people that want to have this 1% in the world in a utopia with the beautiful people and the intelligent people and things like that. Like I said, I'm supposed to be set aside as an asset for the new world order once those populations are reduced to provide entertainment. That's my job. I'm supposed to be an entertainment in the new world because of my mind and the screenplays I have and things like this. They want that, and they'll say that. The contacts will say, how we don't know you're just two-hit wonder, and then you realize, you got 14 going on 15 more screenplays. They want me to entertain them after they wipe out this population. That's why I'm still here, not thrown off a bridge. I've been threatened. I've been run off the road. But one of the latest run off the roads was done in a theatrical way where they did it. They ran me off the road, but it wasn't life-threatening. They just wanted to run me off the road and then turn away. So it's supposed to say, we can still get to you. We can still harm you and your son. We can still do these things. But the threats from the main bought-off family have ceased now. They killed my father instead. So what's going on now is I'm still going to be given a chair, I believe, in the new world that's coming. But that doesn't satisfy me. I still want to do what they told me not to do. They said, don't try to make a difference. Can't help it. I got to try to make a difference. And whether that chair remains there for me in the future or not, I really don't care. I just want a world the way it could be, because this world would be the best it can be if all life is valued and we all make it through up that hill together. That's the world I want to see, and that's the world I want to be a part of. You cannot measure people and say they're not worth it because they're not part of our club. They're not worth it because they don't have the right skin. They're not worth it because they're not intelligent enough. There's beauty in a person that doesn't have high intelligence. They see things in a different way that maybe I don't. Me having a high intellect, being gifted genius, as they say, tested in 2-day testing, doesn't make me more appealing than someone else. In fact, I can annoy people because I'm so intelligent, but I can do the work. Let me do the work. Let me create. Let me help what I can do to make a better world. And let these other people that have their own beauty do their work to create a better world. It's like cutting parts off the body and saying we'll have a better world with a body cut to pieces. No, we won't. We need every single person on this planet. And when we do space exploration and things like this, let's just jump ahead. Let's space exit. When we go out there and do this space stuff, because that's what I was talking about before they gave it to Elon Musk, we're going to need every person we got to create beautiful societies. And it's a big...
And everyone is so unique in their own way, not one is more important than the other.
There's no way.
So every single person has their gift to offer the world, and that's what we should never forget. And I think that more than anything, more and more, with all this abuse and blackmail and suppression that has been happening over these years, I really pray that it's created a crack in the ionosphere so that people can actually realize hope, their potential, that there is a purpose for them no matter where in life they are. If you are breathing and your heart is beating, you are here for a reason. And a lot of people maybe don't get that right now, because it really is a time where a lot of people are... I'm finding this with people in my surroundings, clients, students, just generally taking a lot of strain. Really, people are battling at this point in time. A lot of anxiety, all of these things. But, you know, it's an opportunity for change. It's an opportunity to look deeper within. It's an opportunity for us to make a difference in another way. It really is the great awakening. And the awakening means that you kind of have to emerge from a sleepy state or a different state before you know, wash the sleep out of your eyes and you go, whoa, okay, this is where I am.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think there will be more and more breakthroughs universally when everyone starts understanding that. It's like the energy won't not allow it. So the breakthroughs, I think what I'm saying is like the system in its negative state just starting to crumble. People start to speak up and speaking the truth. Perpetrators start stepping forward. Pedophile rings just start being dissolved. More and more people stepping up and speaking the truth about what's been going on.
Well,
It's going to be crazy because a lot of people don't want to hear it. Sorry, Tom.
No, it's okay. Human nature likes to follow a leader. It's like when the heat gets on, when trouble comes, when there's crisis, we like to turn to someone who's going to be strong and lead us away out of the cave or the crumbling building. We turn to those, and the state has been always one that would say, here are your leaders. Here are your heroes. Here are the ones to model after. Here's the ones that are going to keep you safe. And it's lies. They're bought, polished, packaged, and delivered. And they are not the ones to count on. I would not entrust my last surviving child to any of them in a moment of crisis. But those of us have taken the mantle and responsibility in lieu of that, when we have the understanding to be it ourselves, to determine ourselves, then we decide, let's share ourselves and our knowledge with others to help them and get to more and more larger scale across to finally the whole world. And we can do that through arts, intellectual property, things like that. But we come from a humble place, which is not based on ego. It's not based on self-serving. If you're based on self-serving, like my siblings that are bought, you're not going to get by first base on this. You're not going to get to the first level. You're going to be so focused on yourself that when the stuff hits the fan, you're going to be crying for yourself. And you're going to be, oh me, oh my. They won't even look at their children. They're going to be so concerned about their own selves. I saw this example. It runs heavily in the US. This mentality has been fed so long in the US that I saw a documentary on the flooding that happened, where the flooding hit those resort areas in the east. And they showed these different people from different countries and their reactions. And I think it's an important point, where they were saying about how they were so touched by the loss of life and wanted to help. But when it came down to the American couple, the young American couple, this blonde girl that reminds me of my brother's wife, and this guy, they were laughing about the loss of life. They were laughing about hearing the cries of others when they were drowning. Their tears started to flow when they talked about themselves. It was so disgusting. I don't think people, if you watch the documentary, you watch them like, we heard these people crying for help. We didn't know what it was. Then you see them go like this. So then we were caught in the water and we didn't know if we were going to make it. So what? Die, basically. If you have no humanity, that you only care for yourself like my sister, you don't matter. You've got to care about other life besides yourself, and the suffering of others is not entertainment. My brother was with Spielberg and Disney. We grew up listening to him say, and this is him as young adult, saying he loves slasher films. He's a pedophile. He loves seeing women stabbed and killed in the films. He's like, it's so cool. That's him. And he claims to be a Christian, goes on youth trips and takes pictures of preteens underwater in their bikinis and through the bushes. That's him. But the Christian community allows it because that's Jack Althouse. And he's a good Christian. No, he's bought by Spielberg and Disney. And he does these pedophile activities and talks about it all the time. And he talks about liking to see slasher films. That's why he's recruited by Spielberg and Disney and given these little bones thrown, little architect jobs where he gets no others. That's how serious this is. That's not a world I want filled with people like that. I'd rather they rehabilitate and other people lead the way. And Christian communities need to look at themselves and stop excusing pedophiles and bad activity throughout their ranks, from congregation to deacon to pastor. They've got to look at it and say, this isn't acceptable. There's this mentality that goes on even among their marriages where they say, you can't point this out publicly because it'll reflect bad on the church. Okay. So that's why they allow this to go on. They use the card that it'll disrupt their family, it'll disrupt the Christian community, and it'll hurt the community. So this goes on. If it's going on in these church communities and excused while children are suffering, it's going to spread worldwide. It's not going to stop. So people need to wake up and stop worrying about their image, not only personally, but of their churches and of their family, and start correcting the wrong that's going on, especially with children. Look at my brother and sister, what's going on there and what they get away with. That's got to stop. Someone's got to call it out. And if you do call it out, it's going to be screamed at, yelled at, raged at. But that raging is a symptom being revealed of the sickness inside those individuals. We're not raging. We're not screaming. We're getting upset righteously over what is very wrong happening to children and to others. And so even in Pat Robertson's organization, the same thing ensued. Can't talk about it. Don't say, yeah, he does affairs. Pat Robertson does his stuff. He has a sex ring. But don't talk about it because that could help the evil ones outside the church. So don't talk about it. And then they cap it with this. He does some good. Hitler did some good. He made the Autobahn. He helped feed his people after they'd been destitute after a stupid Paris Accord, which destroyed Germany and set him up to come back like that. And a nutcase to come in and control it, who was funded by the bankers in America and England. The Prescotts, the Bushes, they did it. Robertson took on ex-Nazis at his organization. So what you have is we create the problem in this country here. And then we exploit that problem to our advantage. We destabilize countries in order to remain the powerhouse from World War II. Because we had it pretty good in World War II. We're the last ones to enter the fray. And then we benefited from contracts to alliances to, we steered the ball because we came in late. England's basically over there fighting by themselves going, can you help us? Well, we'll send you some supplies across the Atlantic. There you go. But we're not going to get involved yet. And then we come in late. We win the day. And our neocons decided that we're never going to give up that power again. So we absorbed Germany, took on their best minds, so did Soviets. And we created ourselves. We had a rocket program all of a sudden. We had war crime individuals as heroes, Mr. Brahm. And we took over technology, everything, and they knew what to do. Hold out their papers, their information. Take me, give me a great life, make me a hero in your country, and I'll give you this technology. Deal, deal. And we take them in by mass. Yeah. Nuremberg trials. So we are guilty in this country of keeping Nazi going, and we were drunk and lustful of it, and we wanted to use the systems they used because they looked so successful. So we are not a good country. And many great people gave their lives for freedom in this country. No, you gave it so the elite can control it. You didn't know, and God bless you for your service and fighting for what you believed was right for your families because you believed you were going to protect them, and I honor that. Thank you for your service. But who are you fighting for? Look what Cheney said during the Bush era. We use what we have. Not telling the troops, thank you for your service. You're a great people, men and women dedicated to save this country. No, we use what we got. You know, we can't pick, you know, thanks a lot. So they're just fodder, given second-class equipment. Anyway, there's a lot tied to this. And I think that's what the frustration of all that came to, where America decided also to create the FBI and CIA during World War II. We decided to be trained by England. And the bad boys in this world have been England, the US, and Russia. We really have been. China, I think, has just been basically looking at what they can do to take advantage from the drops from the bucket, basically. They know they have natural resources and things like that. And Hollywood employed China. Robinoff from Warner Brothers, when he was ousted by Joel Silver, got that 30-film deal or so in China. Why are we sending all our people to China all the time if we're supposed to be at odds with them? Why is it? Because it's all about big business, all about business. They always say it's all about business when it comes down to it. And China's a good business partner. They got a lot of resources and power. Russia's a good business power. United States and England. So this is a big show going on between everybody. Thank you for the circus. And in the end, it's all about the business. It's just business. Yeah. That's why I say Baron von Munchausen, that movie Baron von Munchausen. They agreed on what's going to happen ahead of time and how the war will be fought, and everybody's supposed to behave themselves. And the young people getting killed are fodder. And these elite men at the top actually have that fantasy mentality of more young men die, more young women for us. Yeah, that pedophile mentality is there. It is actually there as part of the fantasy. And they talk about it. It's actually there. More young men die, more women for us. That's why these wars are so beneficial for them. Invest in both sides, have them go at it, decrease population, and we're getting all our things we want, including profit and prestige, and we're world leaders that won that war. No, you didn't. Maybe Patton, he did his job. I won't give it to Montgomery, but I mean, there's some real world leaders, warriors that actually did their salt and did their worth because they actually believed what they were fighting for. But isn't it interesting that Hollywood comes up with the films, Why We Fight? Isn't that interesting? Hollywood comes up with them. Now you could say, well, they have the technological advancement to do it, but it's interesting that they are the ones coming up with these films that are, to create the idea of why we fight. If you had any country in World War II, any of them, and you had Hollywood filmmakers coming up with why we fight, every one of those countries, Axis, allies, in between, third world, would have good sounding reasons to fight. If you were born in any of those countries, it would sound good. We've got to fight. And it's all, list them down the causes. Any young man in any country is going to go, and a young woman now will go off to fight. And who fights at the core. Anyway, that's a long-winded speech of some of the little components. But what we should do is not fight. No. Because you know what? If we don't fight, don't join the military. Don't fight. Bless you, those that did. But if you can avoid it, avoid it. Let the elite fight. Let them fight. Mm-hmm. They want us to fight, so we're eliminated. You're not doing any good for yourself or your family. Maybe your paycheck, that's about it. But get a different job. Don't fight for these pigs that want you to die. Go back to Cheney's speech and look what he says about you. Second-class equipment, so what? We fight, we don't care about you. Yeah. There's so much I could say. There's so much I could say. But that's one of the things. If
stop playing their game, then they don't have a game to play anymore.
That's right. Don't be a chess piece on the chessboard. Live a life with your family. In the end, you'll be glad you did. Instead of them being handed a folded flag, live their life. Live a life with your family. The idea's got to go that there's some kind of glory. There is no glory in battle. There's only killing people you don't know who also have lives worth valuing. It's not worth it, because all you do in the end is serve the top. What happened to these poor Vietnam vets in this country, which started by a false flag? Thank you, Johnson. The false flag, the fake scenario of the ship being hit. What happened to all the sacrifice of all those Vietnamese and those young men from the US and women? It's a tourist attraction now in Vietnam. What did we fight for? So we can have nicer hotels there? What? Don't fight. Don't fight for these pigs. Don't fight for the CIA, the FBI, the American military. Don't get involved. And my dad was a Navy vet. I wish he never had joined. World War II was the last time we actually stood up as a nation and said, let's do something good. But the profiteers capitalized. After that, fake, false flags. And that's why it's in the screenplay. Don't fight for false flags. Don't. That CIA operative, Lauren Holberg, told me, The pancake theory they laughed at. The towers came down because of our agreement with Israel. Mossad. We agreed with Israel that we would destroy our own. And that's what just happened at the Cuban embassies with Canada and US. The FBI did experiments on their own. And they drip it and leak this into the films. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, was what we discovered, the theft trail. But back to you for a little bit for commentary.
Sure. No, I mean, I think, wow, I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's so true, though. I'm kind of mesmerized by what you're saying, and I'd actually love to hear about that, though.
Well, here's what's interesting. Intellectual property is the key. The main players are analysts that work for the FBI and the CIA. They're already a one world power. In the screenplay, the CIA is the one that becomes central in the one world order, one world governing world. CIA becomes central. That's what I intended. That's why the screenplay had to be shut down too. People ask, well, why didn't they just make a deal with you? Because there's too much content that tells the truth. It's usually say that maybe 99% is wrong, 1% gets it right in these works. Even that Nielsen Tyson or whatever, the astronomer, everybody's astronomer now owned by Warner Brothers, talks about that all these people that predicted in the past, citing legendary people, got it wrong 99% of the time. Well, this screenplay got it right 99% of the time. From Neuralink to iPad to Surrey to you name it, to events, to false flags, to what the one world society would be, that there could be a good one, the rich having immortality, the poor use pawns. It's all there. On that note, in Altered Carbon, what happened basically was our case was thrown in 2014. They supplied their own attorney, Tony Rankin, who was unlicensed, not eligible to practice law, suspended license. So they already threw it. He missed all the deadlines. He threw it that way. They stipulated to go ahead with the case. Why? You already won because you did it dirty. They wanted to have all my evidence. So they stipulate, their attorneys stipulate for them to file on their defendants. They would never allow that. Jill Silver would never allow himself to be filed upon when they already won, because they knew they're going to throw it. So they do. They get all the evidence, they get all the screenplays. So after they get all the notes and screenplays and they throw it, they can't wait. All three defendants, Warner Brothers, Wachowskis, and Joel Silver, what'd they do? And incidentally, they kept saying Joel Silver has nothing to do with Matrix. Anybody want to take a crap at that? You know, stab at it? Nothing to do with the Matrix? He co-owns the franchise with Wachowskis. He's on the credits as producer, but they kept arguing. He has nothing to do with it, both the provided attorney and their attorneys. Nothing to do with the Matrix, really. So what does Joel Silver do as soon as the case is thrown? They do Oblivion. Who holds it for him? Disney. So he gets Oblivion. He names the main characters Jack and Julie, my sold out siblings. A little nod to them, a little thank you. Incidentally, to show you why they're naming people in these, Arwen Johnson, David Johnson from Mappa on Maui, pedophile ring. What they do is they named after his daughter, Arwen Johnson, a character in Bates Motel, because they had, not Arwen Johnson, I'm sorry. What was her name? Anyway, it's this very unique name, I'll get it, that they named the one character as a prostitute, main player, secondary main player, to give a nod to David Johnson for what he did to destroy our lives and took away everything we had on Maui. So they do this naming game, they do. And so what happens is they give Oblivion to Joel Silver, in case it's thrown. They give the Wachowskis Sense8, and the Wachowskis say it's too big to write down. How can you get $1 million deal with Netflix when it's too big to, when you haven't written anything down? Because they had my notes and scripts and everything, but they had nothing. So they are now going to do their take on it. Each defendant's going to do their take on the work now. They got away with it and had all the screenplay and notes of the author. Goldmine. So Joel Silver does Oblivion, Wachowskis do Sense8, and the Warner Bros. Can't lose out either. They have their take on the work. They do it Elysium with Sony. They bailed out in Gatsby. This is very important. So all three defendants take their work after our case is thrown. When our malpractice case is thrown, all three defendants come again. Now look at this. This is what's so amazing what we discovered. And look what they call it. Altered Carbon with the Trudeau administration in Canada, where his finance minister said it's the biggest boon for Canada ever. Altered Carbon with Joel Silver about the rich having immortality in the future and the poor used as pawns. That's right from our stuff. And the audacity on Netflix to call it the greatest sci-fi concept ever. My work taken by these guys, Joel Silver steals again. after I'm run down by a car and my son Sean is killed and my sister calls me to say, no condolences after 2 years of being apart. She's been bought by the FBI and Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick. So what they do is they contact me with her saying, you got to say you're suicidal. You got to say you're bipolar. You got to say you're angry. No condolences, with a man whispering in the background. They're setting up my death. And the time that Joel Silver runs me down with a car. Interesting. And Sean dies. So they get altered carbon. When I survive the hit and run and Sean dies, Joel Silver takes his name off the project and then comes back a little later. When we first came forward in 2012, Joel Silver severed his relationship with Warner Brothers, disappeared for 6 months and came back. Same pattern. See the patterns? So here are the three defendants again. Joel Silver with altered carbon, rich in the future, have immortality, poor as used as pawns. And what Aiden just discovered, Darling in the Franxx. One of the hottest animes of all time now on doing episodes. What's the premise of Darling in the Franxx? The rich in the future have immortality, the poor is used as pawns. Who's doing it? Warner Brothers through Sony. Just like they did.
Wow.
So there's your pattern. Through it again, launch immediately. Through the Japanese market. Now, why the Japanese market? Based in San Francisco. Because Joel Silver also used plausible source material. This is very important information they don't want out. Through Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell in 1994 started showing, the director in Japan was given stuff from Joel Silver, our stuff, and he started showing illustrations of genderless people, Jack's the Neck, Zion, all that stuff, because he was given my work to make plausible source material that they could then claim as, even though I perceived them. That's why they had the instituted this idea of destroying all my stuff through Planet Attorney to destroy all their evidence. See? That's why they stipulated to go on. See how big this is? So what's the missing piece here? You got Darling with the Franxx announced at the same time after the hit and run, or right before the hit and run. Same time Joel Silver announces Altered Carbon with Warner Brothers take, like they did Elysium. So you got Joel Silver, Oblivion, Warner Brothers, Elysium through Sony, and Wachowski's Sense8 as soon as it's thrown in 2014. When it's thrown in 2017, the malpractice, you've got Darling in the Franxx for Warner Brothers through Sony. You've got Altered Carbon through Joel Silver and Matrix 4 through the Wachowskis. Again, instantly. They can't, their greed drives them instantly forward. So what happens? Merchandise appears on the shelves for Matrix 4, then is left there because the Wachowskis pull out after the hit and run fails. After the hit and run fails on me, Joel Silver again leaves Altered Carbon. Wachowskis pull out of the Matrix project and shelve it indefinitely, blaming COVID. And Warner Brothers channels through Sony, Darling in the Franxx, but postpones it till now, and they can get away with it. And the multi-million-dollar deal for Sense8 way back in 2014, when they first stole the Wachowskis again, when they had all my notes, why not take it? They couldn't wait. And each defendant wanted to take their take on the work. So each went their separate ways to do different work with Disney involved. Netflix absorbed the attorneys from Warner Brothers to shield the Wachowskis for making a Sense8. You can't get a bigger layout so tight, so perfectly timed. These idiots laid out. And that's what's so amazing. One more thing with Darling in the Franxx. What's in there? 7's on the clocks. You've got a one world society. You got a segregated society where you don't age. You've got the thing where the children are artificially made and then weeded out according to how useful they are. That's in our screenplay. You've got ABC News in there. You've got Memories Erased. That's in our screenplay. Was considered revolutionary. Underground Cities. That's in our screenplay. You got the monologues. You've got the battle sequences. You got the don't show the feeling or you'll be eliminated. Perpetual Youth. That's in ours. All these things Bonaventura said was hot and revolutionary when he wanted the work when it was pitched to him from Warner Brothers. You see the picture? Yeah. So living other people's memories and feeling what they felt, that's pretty revolutionary. They took that also and put it into Darling in the Franxx. And what also is in Darling in the Franxx that's so telling, through the Japanese market and the world market, these pedophiles in Hollywood from Warner Brothers and Disney finally did pedophilia to be entertaining for youth across the world. Pedophilia is in Darling in the Franxx as an accepted thing, including the dome. So you've got these people doing sexual positions in order to run their machines, male and female linked ups, while these elderly men leer and watch every move they make, even in the bathrooms. You have them doing pedophilia in Darling and the Franxx, which is ripped off from my material when I stand against pedophilia and what's happening to the children. It's a slap in the author's face, and also trying to indoctrinate the world that it's okay. So this whole generation growing up now, including adults watching it, are being fed that it's okay for voyeurism, which my brother does. It's okay for pedophilia. It's okay for sex rings. And they launder it through the biggest anime in our time. And they time everything so they can bring it out. So we got each defendant taking their work after the case is fraud thrown with fraud, which we can come back on. And then after the malpractice case, one more time, all three defendants take their work again, announcing the greatest concept ever in sci-fi history: the rich have immortality, the poor use pawns. That's how our story treatment starts. Now tell me, do we hold the key to change a world? We claim this back. These are the hottest films making billions of dollars across our planet currently. Will we change the world? Yes. What's the key? Intellectual property. We can stop the game. Now, their game is fueled on money, greed. What's my sister into, brother? Greed, money, power. Don't want to be a peacemaker anymore. She even said it. That's nice. So if that game comes to an end, then everybody resets. Like you said, human nature, we all reset to a new way of being.
Yeah.
No one's going to play the games out of style, out of fashion. So we end the game.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's a long-winded thing, but I think it's very important what we just talked about. Build the keys. Now we got them.
Well, I think it's very interesting as always, Tom, and thank you so much. It's very eye-opening, always. For me, it's, no matter where I hear these stories from, to me, it's always an ear-opener and an eye-opener to realize these are the things that go on and have been going on behind the scenes. But again, I'm just so happy that the world is waking up. Mm-hmm. We definitely have a viewership and an audience, not just with people that have been following us, but a lot of other channels out there that people are awakening to. So I think it's really just a matter of time before these things are revealed.
Absolutely. We've got a documentary work going on right now, and that documentary work is a stellar team. So these things will be revealed. Once these things are revealed, they don't stand a chance in court.
Yeah.
They don't stand a chance, because no judge is going to try to shut this down.
Yeah.
Like Gary Klausner, the one that shut down the initial case, was Bush appointed with Pat Robertson's team, his dream team, Bush called it. It's on Newsweek. Bush's dream team was Pat Robertson's Law and Justice Center. There's an oxymoron. So that's the ones that put Gary Klausner in place that threw all this, so that Robertson would, quote, no longer be a second-class citizen by conservative decisions being made, no longer liberal ones. So that's what Gary Klausner's job was, to rule in Robertson's favor, whatever Robertson wanted, and not about evidence. Block evidence through motion for summary judgments. And therefore, take it in summation, where the judge takes it alone to get advised, by the players, and then say, nothing to see here. And that's it. That's how you throw it. And to get rid of population, anybody who's important that's causing us change, you do 302s. That's what Spielberg bragged about in Minority Report, putting my dad's name, rank, captain, all that stuff, and put Tom Cruise. Sean's death makes him going to be put away for pre-crime. Sean is my son who was killed. So that's Spielberg doing it. That's what you do. 302s, which was then enacted by my brother and sister and my cousins. That's what's done. So they have the courts. They have a way to destroy your families, haul you off, get your property. It's all chessboard set up now.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. People, don't get on that chessboard, and let us, those that's already on the chessboard, finish this fight so we can get rid of this game.
Yeah. We spoke earlier with cracks, and I think with all the truther channels, or everybody bringing out channels, they're experiencing a lot of cracks, and all you need is one crack for the light to shine into consciousness. So with our channel and with you and everybody speaking out, I think these guys are getting desperate because there's a lot of cracks in their in their vicinity, and the light is just shining in, and they're getting desperate, and people are waking up. I mean, we need to wake up to our own ignorance. We need to wake up to our own cracks. And I think people are doing that. People are really waking up everywhere.
I think they are too. The more they point to your channel, the more they interrupt you, the more they're saying these guys matter. They're interrupting you because they work top down. What's their biggest threats? They're targeting you and interrupting all that we do. Like when they shut us down the whole time, everything shut down that time. We couldn't even get on. Means they're pointing to you saying you matter, you're important. And audiences can see that. You matter, you're important. This was just said today because you allowed this to happen. And you had the courage to get back on and do it. Yeah. Good.
Most certainly do. Anyway, thank you so much, Tom, for joining us again. It was wonderful to chat with you, get some lovely insight again. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing your time with us as usual. So thank you so much to our viewers for supporting us again. And if you haven't already, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. Find us on Telegram, and we're also on Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa.
Very good.
So,
one thing I wanted to say, I'm sorry, I need to say this, and I neglected, and I didn't mean it to go so long. One thing I need to say, a statement I've been told to say. I love life. I love my child. I would never harm anyone. I've been informed that the chair that I've been offered, what I said about, elite wants me in that new world order, may be taken away. They have decided that I am a big threat, and maybe it doesn't outweigh, my talents don't outweigh, and what I could do for them doesn't outweigh the threat that's going on, that they're in such a panic. There are those that want to say, pull the plug on Tom. So if anything ever happens to me, it wasn't by my hand. I love my son, I would never harm him. And basically, keep carrying on the message that I stood for humanity. I stand with you guys, and the work, lift the work. If anything happens to me, lift the work. Because right now they're deciding whether I'm going to survive. And the idea is that maybe Tom's not worth it, even with all his talents, because too much is being revealed. So that's why we're getting these eruptions. So I just want to tag that in there, not to end on a very heavy note, that I'm going to keep fighting for as long as I can, but I will never, ever devalue life, even especially, yours, my own, my son's. Never. It's my siblings' responsibility to say that I would harm my son, and now they're saying I would harm them. No, I wouldn't. So if I end up gone because of what agents disguise as homeless people, they want an inglorious death where agents disguise as homeless, that I had an altercation with homeless. It didn't happen. It wasn't me doing it. It would be a hit. So it's time now where we're still in that shady spot, shady time, where they're panicking, and a weak, angry tiger against the wall is most dangerous when it feels cornered. So that's why we get through this time where they will lash out, and we'll get to more peaceful times. But right now, while they're cornered, I just want to make that statement. Thank you.
Well, I've no doubt you're going to be absolutely fine, and continue to be. So no doubt in my mind there. But absolutely.
Just to counter the
It's
rules.
good to know. It's good to know. Thank you, Tom.
Play it out, just in case. So yeah, but thank you guys. Thank you. Cool.
Thank you so much. Okay, everyone. God bless you all. Mwah. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you very soon.